Hey guys, it's John Olympian Exotics here. This is a couple of the racks that I just completed. I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of how you would reassemble these racks once you get them shipped into you. So I'm going to go ahead and go over this one because it's a little bit more complicated than most of them, so I should be able to cover every question that I can think of. But if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. So I label each shelf and each piece of the rack. So as you can see, this one says level 3. Up here at the top, it'll say level 1, and it should say top shelf. Level 1 is always going to be the top shelf. That's just how I do it. And then it goes all the way down to level 7 down there. So the bottom shelf is level 7. On here it says the front, so make the fronts facing outward. To the right, R is right, left is left, or L is left. And that's the main thing. Just make sure they're in the right orientation, because the screws that go in are going to line up just right with this piece of PVC. So you don't want to be switching these shelves around. Basically, your goal is to line those screw holes back up just the way I had them. That's the best way to reassemble it. I would say to reassemble this, it would be the same way as how I'm going to disassemble it. Would be to lay it down on the ground and then start at the top. I would put the side pieces in first, so do the four sides, the four side pieces, and then once it's all assembled, then I would put the back on afterward, because the back is not fully screwed into the shelves, because that can distort the spacing on the shelves. And so the back is just basically a back brace, kind of stabilizes it a bit so it's not super wobbly, because this is a 7-foot tall rack, so it's going to have some flex, but it's mainly to just keep it so the bins can't push out through the back, because this is a lidless rack, and if you push them through the back, then the animal can get out through the back and you won't even know, and then you'll have to go find that animal. No fun. Okay, so what else? You will need a Phillips head screwdriver, so that's the cross one. You don't really need any power tools. You can just use a hand screwdriver if you want to. It would be faster with an electric, or like a battery powered or electric one. But just don't use anything with a lot of power, because you can punch right through this material. It's relatively soft compared to, say, like metal or something like that. So you can just push the screw right through this. So don't overdo it with the power tools. What else? A lot of them will have back heat or heat tape or something like that in there. This one does not have that, so kind of hard to go over that. Usually the back heat's going to run right down the back wall here. Make sure you don't fold it or anything. That's the main thing. Don't fold it, don't kink it. Try to keep it nice and flat. Try not to damage it. Don't fold it or kink it or anything like that. What else? If you're using heat tape, it's always going to need to be plugged into a thermostat. Those are not included with the racks unless you specifically bought a thermostat, which would be added on. What else we got here? What else can I think of? Okay, belly heat would be routed in right here. So usually I do a 3-inch belly heat, and that would be routed into the plastic. Then you would run the heat tape through the rack, up through each shelf, and it would be on the top part right here. So it would slide over, the bin would slide over it because it's recessed in with the routing bit. So you would want to slide it in, run it up the sides, make sure the tubs are not hitting the heat tape, because with belly heat, that's how you wear them out. Also try not to kink it, same as the back heat. Don't want to do any right angles. You want to kind of let it bend. You don't want to have it really tight, because that can cause the electrical current to get messed with, and it may not put out heat evenly, and it may end up failing, and that could potentially injure your snakes, or even worse things could happen. So try to be really nice, flow bendy stuff with the heat tape. You don't want to have any right angles, no kinks. You don't want to have anything bad happen with the heat tape. So that's one reason why I don't really recommend belly heat, is because you can have those kind of failures a lot more commonly. For one, it's a lot longer piece of tape. 2, you're putting a lot more wattage per rack in there, because the belly heat's going to be using up more material. So be careful with that. What else? Okay, so for thermostats, if you were to have, for probes and thermostats, if you were to have a heat tape in here, I would probably go for right about the middle. Typically, I put the thermostat about 1 inch away from the heat tape, if it's back heat. If it's belly heat, you're probably going to want to put it really close to the heat tape. I wouldn't necessarily put it on top of the heat tape, but I know different builders recommend different things for that. But the belly heat's gonna have a lot more direct connection with the bin, so you're gonna want to be a little bit more careful with that, and make sure you check that a lot. The back heat is a little bit safer because it's more spread out. It's not having direct contact, and obviously heat rises. So if it's on the belly, it's gonna go right into that bin. On the back, it kind of radiates out into like a larger area because it's not actually touching the bin. So I personally would always recommend back heat or side heat. Side heat is basically if it's running on the side. Obviously this rack wouldn't work very well because there's this open space, so the heat's just going to go right out there. Usually a lot of racks I build, there's a solid sides, so the side heat kind of traps it in here, and so it would run all the way from here to the bottom of the rack on both sides, and that would allow for more wattage, so more power for the same size rack, and that would put out more heat. So if you're not getting the desired temperature with back heat, you can always have a side heat rack, and that still reduces the chances of failures because it's just one flat sheet of heat tape, and it can still get you that warmer temperature that you're going for. So that's the two options I really recommend. I will do belly heat if you want me to. It does cost more because I have to router the material in there. That takes more man hours, so obviously that's going to charge more. But yeah, I can do either way. That's just my personal recommendations. Okay, so for as far as assembly, it will come with the screws. Screws will come in a bag. Usually I throw a few extras in there. That way if I miscount or I lose one, or if you lose one, there's still some extras. Don't worry about if there's extra screws in the bag, because I usually try to throw a few in there just in case either of us loses one. So that way you're not short a screw. So don't worry about using all the screws that come in the bag. If you filled up all the holes and you can't figure out where these are supposed to go, that's because I put some extras in there. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, feel free to comment on this video. Like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my website. It's olympianexotics.com. That's where I have most of my designs up. I also do custom builds. This one's actually a custom build. This is a 6 high. Usually I just do 5 highs, but as you can see, this one's almost touching the ceiling. So this is almost 7 feet, maybe a little bit more actually. That's probably about 7 feet. So nice tall rack. You can definitely go. I could go up to 8 feet, though I wouldn't recommend it because the shipping is going to get prohibitive because that's a really big box to ship in. So what I'll be doing with this one is, since there's 7 legs, the 7 legs are all going to ship in their own box because they're all big, and then these shelves are all the exact same size, so those will ship in their separate box because that's just going to be way more cost effective for shipping, and it will have less like ability for stuff to fall around in the box, and so less chance of UPS breaking it or damaging it or anything like that. Fortunately, this stuff stacks really tight, and it's actually pretty durable when you stack 3 inches of it together. It's pretty tough material, so we're going to plastic wrap it up, and it should be okay. So, you know, I never make any promises when it comes to the shippers because they have creative ways of destroying things. So, but they're generally make it okay. Okay, and then we'll just walk her over here. So this one holds 2 27 quarts per shelf, lidless. So they're going to slide right in here. Let me see. I don't have the tubs with me at the moment. But yeah, they slide right in here. Almost no gap. And I mean, if you want them to have lids, we can do that. If you want them to not have lids, we can do that as well. And then over here, this one is a deep 66 quart. We can also do this wide ways like that, so it would almost look exactly the same. But this one is deep ways, so it's going to go all the way in there. Same principle, same marking, same everything. This one only has 2 pieces in the back because it's only 17 inches wide, whereas this one is 23.875, so it's almost 24 inches wide. And this is going to slide right in there. Same idea, same back bracing, same everything. So it's pretty sturdy. I mean, you can see it's not like bending too crazy. It'll be plenty sturdy for this purpose. You could probably put about 30-40 pounds on these shelves before they really start sagging. So that's should be good. I think that's it. Definitely check out the designs on olympianexotics.com and have a great day. Thanks for watching.